You just wish you had a face mask.
Hey y'all,
Hi.
welcome back to the Fact Checks podcast. I don't know if you could tell what Haley was listening to right there, but the topic of our conversation today is going to be around slop. And when we say slop, we mean in particularly uh, AI slop. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. And if you don't know what the term means, you definitely know what it is because I'm assuming anyone listening to this has a TikTok, has an Instagram, or some form of social media where this kind of content is emerging. So, Haley, since you've been looking into it more than I have for our Substack, do you want to kind of kick off what you've been finding and what you've been seeing?
Yeah, well, it is an issue that it's something that I find so fascinating because I kind of battle between love-hate relationship to it. Like I know it's contributing to this just, mountain of rubbish and digital clutter, as the internet calls it, of just really low quality content. But at the same time, I kind of love some of it. It's just like it's a good way to shut your brain off. But anyway, I'll break it down. This issue is kind of it's been in the media a lot lately. Like even just the past week, I've seen so many conversations about AI slop, and I thought, yeah, perfect podcast episode because it's also just super aligned with what we're trying to do and kind of educate people on how to spot it when you see it because it is getting so like realistic. It's scary, and I think that's kind of what encouraged us to start even the fact studio is that I'm struggling to tell the difference between some of these videos. As a good example of it is when we were trying to start our Instagram for fact checks, and we wanted just at the fact checks or fact checks and fact studio as well. And there is so much other handles, Instagram handles that are using these, but it's all just really just very clearly AI generated content, and it doesn't really make any sense. Like it's just there for the handle. So that's a good example of when we first even encountered it, just as on a business point. And it's been defined as low quality content, digital clutter, with I guess largely not serious messages.
Yeah, I think maybe a good way to explain AI slop is kind of connecting it to the old world of shit posting. So like people just would go online and just post loads and loads and loads of memes or dumb photos, dumb videos, kind of just like clickbait content trying to get people to engage and watch their things, etc. But AI slop is kind of that format, but with AI generated content. So I think a lot of people have been getting frustrated with it in a way where we watched a video recently and they talked a lot about Pinterest users saying they used to go on Pinterest to see the inside of someone's life, their aesthetic, their interests, their hobbies, their crafts, their creations. And now it's just a lot of AI generated cool aesthetic photos that aren't real and definitely not the resemblance of someone's real life or experiences or travels or anything of the sort. So it's kind of distorting this image online of what is real, what is not fiction. And what Haley said at the beginning, I guess, is interesting too, because we have a love hate relationship for it, right? Like there's so many trends that we've been seeing, whether it's like the little AI babies coming to life in the hospital after being born and talking to their parents or running away, or the videos of AI cats like doing weird stuff. Or one of those trends that I think has been popping up for me so much is like, what bed would you choose if you're really tired? And it's like a bed made out of cheese and a bed made out of bread. And it's just like, that's what our algorithms are being flooded with right now. And it's kind of like, what do we do with it? Why do we want to see it? What makes that AI video of a baby running away from its parents after being born in the hospital worth 7.5 million likes? Like that is
Yeah.
our attention. Why is our attention going to that?
I don't really know the psychology behind it. Like now I've seen so much of it, I don't care to watch it. But I guess when I first saw it, I'm like, this is weird, right? But now I see so much of it, it's like, oh, I've seen that. But I think, yeah, I do have a love-hate relationship with it because it is, it's some I guess now it's more just generating just views, right? That's the whole point around it is people making it be for profit and for views. It's not so much of what the content is. But I guess when you see it for the first time, you see one of those baby videos, you're like, this is funny. I'm going to send this to Jenny. But now I've seen it like 30 times and I don't care for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, we're coming from the perspective that we obviously know babies can't talk and run when they come out of the womb. Like, it's an obviously a fake video, but the idea of it is something much more deeper, like, it can be used for things that people are actually tricked by,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so whether or not we're just being dumb and laughing at this AI video because we obviously know it's not real, what are we consuming online that isn't real that we think is real? And I think there's a lot of people that are kind of navigating this messy transition into, and like we were talking about before this, Haley, we lived this life where we had social media and online before AI was really like so abundant and out there and in this like generative form. And then now we have it when it's emerging. So we kind of know this middle ground of, oh, that's not how it used to be, or this is how it should be. Whereas people who are now growing up with it and haven't seen anything but that, that's different. Or, the older generation that never had social media growing up, and it's their first time with a cell phone or a mobile phone and scrolling on these social media apps, and they're like, wow, is that real? I never saw this before because they've never really been online. So I think it's really interesting on these demographics.
I also think it comes down to basically they've had for such a long amount of time, they've had this feeling of trust. And now that sense of trust is being corroded so clearly, so obviously, and so prevalent. It's so prevalent. And it's, yeah, I mean, this is coming from social media and not like official news or news sites. So I think it is like on a human level, it's about losing that sense of trust.
Yeah. Yeah, and how do we get it back? Because I think it's just about being aware, right? But then
Yeah,
once
I
you're
don't know.
aware,
I
there's
really don't know. And that's why I guess it's just in the media so much because there isn't really an answer for it. And tech companies are just doubling down on AI. They are doubling down on now making new videos that you can make your own so easily. OpenAI are
Sam
doing,
Altman.
yeah, OpenAI have just announced that they're making a whole social platform to make your own generated videos, which I am a little troubled about. I mean, I'm curious, but I also am. It's troubling me. And then he also announced today that they're making a whole section where you can make your own erotica, AI erotica, which I think is very interesting. But yeah, they're really doubling down on this. And like, you've got Grok, you've got all these social media platforms like that are making their own AI, and there's no legislation, there's no control over it. I mean, I know that Twitter has like, some good, community notes. I guess that helps, but they're not getting really held accountable, and governments don't have any sort of, you know, laws in place to kind of combat this. They need to, like, pretty urgently, because it's getting rampant. It's getting a little out of control.
Yeah, I guess there's really no framework, like universal framework to be able to follow because I think,
Yeah.
and we've talked about it loads before where AI is very helpful in certain cases. And like I think we're in a time right now where things can move faster than ever. We can build businesses faster than ever. We can create projects faster than ever. We can learn how to be creatives and brainstorm and, talk to our computer. Like, obviously it doesn't replace a human, but sometimes, Haley, I do talk to ChatGPT when you're not around. And I'm like, well, Haley's not here today. So what do you think she would say? Vice versa. But we understand the implications of it and how to use it responsibly, how to use it in an ethical way. And I think there's so much emerging right now that how do we get people to know what to use it for and how to keep an eye out for it online? Because, like I said, there's a difference between laughing at a dumb AI video on TikTok and having that same concept being used in something that skews our vision and our reality of life and
Mhm.
democracy or civic engagement in general, because that's dangerous. So yeah, it's literally good versus evil at this point. Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I sent you an article this morning from Axios. Like, they announced that, from their studies that I think half of the articles out there now are AI generated. And as journalists, that's incredibly troubling. And what is the content? Like, it's probably not very high quality content that we're reading and that we're consuming, and we need to challenge that, I think.
Yeah, and I think on the topic of like consumption as well, and I don't even know where I'm getting with this, but I'm thinking out loud at the moment, but we consume so much and we want to create this environment where we, put real content back into the atmosphere, real content back into the algorithm. How can we kind of create this community online where people are learning from real people and real content and truthful narratives, things like that. But algorithms, again, are the pesky middle mess here where it doesn't matter how much we put out there. It matters how much someone wants to consume that. Because if they're not searching for it and they're not liking it or watching the video all the way through, then they're gonna get stuck on the algorithm of a bunch of AI generated content. So I think that's also dangerous because I don't know how to change the mindset of people quite yet, because that's what we're trying to figure out, but it is, I think it's up to the consumer to wanna be more of a creator than it is of us just putting more content out there in front of people.
Yeah, it's definitely being proactive over passive, which we need to encourage more of. But yeah, I'll mention though, like, AI slop has been generating at an insanely rapid rate. And so I guess the benchmark video that a lot of people kind of use is for AI advancement in video, in photos, is the generated video of Will Smith eating spaghetti from 2023. And that, yeah, that was 2 years ago. And you watch it, it's an instinctual thing. You're aware that it's not real. It's very glitchy. It's weird, uncanny valley. Very, it's you watch it, you're like, yeah, that's not normal. But now you can watch that same kind of theme of video, and it's hard to make the distinction. I do think though that AI of people right now is very cartoony, and I think you can agree. Like it is very storybook, very cartoony like. And I think that does help right now to be able to distinguish it, but I know for a fact, probably honestly, I'd be surprised, but by the end of the year we'd have AI looking pretty accurate and very, very hard to distinguish. So I'm talking like a matter of months of how rapidly it's getting scary.
Yeah, I'm gonna, share the screen because whoever's watching this must see it,
Yeah,
how
watch it on YouTube.
insanely different it
We have it
is.
on, we have, yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see it.
So, the left is the 2023 video. Obviously, kinda creepy, kinda distorted, obviously fake. The right is an AI video of the same type of content, Will Smith eating spaghetti. If I was scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, I would believe that's real.
Yeah, and that's from
Like,
October as well, this month.
you would have to literally stop and think and be like, "Well, first of all, why am I watching a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti? Second of all, me and you already saw the video in 2023, so we know, like, it's a remake of it." But it just goes to show is if we were just scrolling through that and imagine if it was something different that, was completely distorting our reality and not just Will Smith eating spaghetti. I think there's a lot more to
Yeah,
unpack
exactly.
there.
I think by the end of this year, it's going to get really incredibly difficult to distinction. And that's why we need kind of regulations. But yeah, it is kind of encouraging. Most of these videos aren't like Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's not controversial. It doesn't really have an agenda. But there are increasingly, you see more of this kind of agenda, this hate speech, this kind of creating division, political division, whatever you want to say. But it's becoming more popular. And I think, a good example is Charlie Kirk. I mean, I've seen so many Charlie Kirk with Jesus, with like dead, like religious people, like, photos being shared on, especially Facebook. It's being mass shared. Obviously, we know it's not real because, we don't have photos of people in heaven, but it is kind of, generating, I guess, more of an agenda, more of emotion in people as well. And I think that's, where it gets kind of dangerous. And I think, there's an example, I think it was from last year, where there was all these AI generated photos of Taylor Swift at watching the football, but they were incredibly degrading. I don't want to get into too much detail. They were pornographic, they were degrading, they were disgusting, and they were viewed like a crazy amount of times. I couldn't escape it. I saw it on my feed. Amazingly, I don't know how, but her team managed to scrape them from the internet. But that's just being Taylor Swift. She can, do what she wants. But that was unprecedented, I think, and it was a completely new level of, I guess, what you could consider it as revenge porn. It's disgusting, and that it's so easy to create content like that now. And like, it was Taylor Swift. She's a big deal, so she managed to get rid of it, but normal person probably wouldn't be.
Yeah, I think that is something I was going to bring up is that's Taylor Swift, right? Like you said, she has a way to get rid of it. She has a team that is on top of that kind of stuff. Obviously, people were sharing that and believing it. And, it was a time when Taylor Swift was, I mean, she still is obviously in the headlines all the time, but it goes to show that you can create a narrative that is not real and very much consumed by a mass amount of people really, really quickly. And you might not think, and people might not think, oh, okay, that's Taylor Swift. It's never going to happen to me. What if it did? Genuinely, what if it did? Like, what if someone took a video of you online, on TikTok, on Instagram, and turned that into an AI video of you doing this? Like, whatever their motive is, imagine how terrifying that would be to happen. And I think it's happening to a lot of people, and we just don't really think about it. And there's been a trend even recently about why parents aren't putting their children on social media anymore because they end up on all these weird AI fake freaky kid accounts where it's like why are people taking other people's content? But it is a wild west out there. Anybody can take your content. Anybody can generate it into this new generative AI image creator and we have no control over where that's going. And I think that's all kind of really really scary. And it's not to go to show that social media is end all, and we wanna fear it and never be on it, but I think there's a lot more to do in terms of just being aware of what we're doing on it and how we can do that safely and responsibly.
All these generated videos and photos, they are for clicks and they're making money. And I think that's unfortunately where it comes down to is the fact that these people just want views, they want money. And I think we need to work out how can we discourage that, discourage this trash slop just being pushed out everywhere and make some more responsible content that people want to consume and will make you money if you want.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day, and it was someone talking, like, those videos on TikTok where someone is talking directly to you, and it feels like you're on FaceTime? Well, it was someone sitting in a car, and he looked at me, and he was like, "Stop using AI. Stop scrolling on these videos. Stop sharing these videos because you will get framed." Like, I was like, "Whoa." Like, it literally felt like he was talking directly to me, and I was like, "What do you mean I'm gonna get framed? Framed for what?" And I think that just made me think of it and all of this stuff is what if we did get framed for something in the future because it looks like us on this security camera? How many times does that happen? I mean, I would have to look into it, but I'm sure there's quite a lot actually with all this generated content. And so, yeah, that's just another like scary bit that I just thought about because he really did freak me out. So, one thing that we've been trying to do and sort out with what we're doing at the Fact Studio and Fact Chicks and developing our programs and what we're trying to roll out is to help young people use their voice in a ever-changing complex media environment. And I think a really good example of this is there's AI slop everywhere. We're consuming it, we're seeing it. 8 million likes are going on to it. It's grabbing our attention. Whether we know why or whether we know how to, stop that, I don't know. Like we said before, it's a love or hate relationship. But I also think my algorithm gives me a little bit of hope. And I mean that in a way where there are so many trends. Like, yes, there's these AI trends or these cat videos and different things that we're seeing. But there's a lot of people that are trying to take the internet back by storm in terms of being real, human, and authentic. And I think a really good example is I was sitting there scrolling through my feed the other day, and me and a friend were going through my likes, and she was like, well, why do you have so many like self empowerment personal development type of content on here. Like it's like, oh, how to learn marketing in 5 to 3 seconds. But another one is called like this like trend called personal curriculum, like how to get back into studying and learning a new subject and like kind of how to develop your organizational like leaflets, notebooks, all this different stuff. And I think that's kind of like wholesome in a way because yes, we're sitting online and scrolling and doom scrolling and doing so much, but how can we use it in a way where we create community and bring people together for a better, greater good? And whether that's a personal curriculum on learning something like sociology, art, English, or I don't know, knitting because I'm into my grandma era. But how can we do that in a way where we encourage people to just be real, be human, connect with other people like we were supposed to do on social media? Because now we are in this time where we can connect with anyone from anywhere across the world. And we're sitting here watching videos of dumb AI cats. Like, I mean, it just doesn't really, it's fun, it's funny, it's great, but then there's so much more that we can use digital connection for, and we're not using it to our full advantage right now, I don't think.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I do think TikTok does have its pros, and I think it is good at creating that community sense. Even ahead of this podcast episode, I was going through my TikTok feed, and there were AI videos that popped up, but there were a lot of really nice community, female oriented ones. And living in Paris, I'm an expat, and I'm getting a lot of community groups and a lot of women that are also expats living in Paris that are like, let's meet up in person, let's do something. And I'm like, yes, slay, I love this. We need to encourage more of that. And I think it is like an extension of being in person, you know. We should be using this as an aid rather than an escape.
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to, I'm just going to keep saying the A word, algorithm. And I think everybody will be quite excited over who we have on next as our guest, Haley, because we're going to talk a lot about alchemizing the algorithm and human connection and desire and what more people are kind of seeing in this world of constant change and identity online and consumption. But just think about what your phone is feeding you, what you're feeding it and what you're interacting with, and just be a little bit more conscious of it. Because I think that's what I've been doing lately. Because I'm like, why is it that I'm stuck in this personal development, like go to the gym, winter arc type vibe right now? But then also I am seeing an AI baby come to life after like and starting to run away from its parents at the hospital. And so it's just really weird. And I mean, I think a good example is when we're talking about something and then all of a sudden our phone is showing us 10 different adverts for that product. You know, where are we putting our time? Where are we putting that? And what more can we do with it? Because there are people out there that are, craving this connection and this betterment of themselves. And we just need to find ourselves in the right communities.
Yeah, I think it's also, there's two levels to it. You know, there's the level of what we can achieve as just individuals. And then there's also the levels of governments, organizations, you know, startups, techs. They all have a responsibility to, you know, to navigate this like ethically. And I think, you know, there's so many AI startups now, so many, gosh, there's a bajillion, but we need more ethical ones. And I think there are, you know, movement towards that. And yeah, encourage more of that, encourage people with a lot of money, big tech, to actually utilize these ethical startups, hopefully create something really positive out of it. But again, we need some control over this because it is rampant.
Fight fire with fire, like we said last time. Yeah, I think honestly, if anyone's listening to this, which I hope you are, tell us what are like your most favorite trends online, but then what your least favorite trends are, because I'm quite curious as to, obviously, if there's 8 million people liking a video that I just saw, that was just like a dumb AI video. I know you're seeing it. So tell us what you think about it, because I am quite curious. And I'm always for like an interesting trend online to find that is going to make me a better person and a better connector.
Yeah, well, let's end this podcast with one of my favorite TikTok trends, AI slop, and it's this.
That's terrifying.
It's so stupid. I love those cat soap opera videos. They're
Yeah.
so stupid. I love it.
Well, there you go, guys. That's where our attention is going. So we're
Yeah.
gonna go scroll through it after this.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right,
Bye,
bye, y'all.
guys. Thank you.